59 years ago, you sat in the dark and felt something you couldn't quite name. That restless, aching pull between the life you had and the life you thought you were supposed to want. The Graduate gave that feeling a face, and the cast who gave it life became icons of American cinema. But what happened to those actors once the cameras stopped and the world moved on? Let's find out what became of them all. If you're enjoying this, subscribe so you never miss a story like this one. Dustin Hoffman as Ben Braddock. He arrived at the audition looking so lost and out of place that the producer assumed he was there to clean the windows. That was Dustin Hoffman in 1967, 29 years old, about to play Ben Braddock, a 21-year-old drifter who didn't know what he wanted from life. As it turned out, he didn't need to act very hard. Hoffman had spent most of his 20s genuinely uncertain, taking odd jobs between small theater roles in New York, watching peers like Robert Redford get handed opportunities that never seemed to come his way. Redford was actually considered for the role of Ben Braddock before Hoffman. Director Mike Nichols turned him down. Redford was too handsome, too assured. Nichols needed someone who looked like he might actually be drowning. He was not the only person on that set whose name nobody knew yet. After The Graduate, Hoffman did not coast on the film's success. He went looking for harder things. Midnight Cowboy came 2 years later, then Kramer vs. Kramer, then Tootsie. Each performance more unexpected than the last. Each one proof that the uncertainty was not a liability, but a weapon. In 2026, he is 88 years old, still regarded as one of the finest actors his generation produced. That lost quality the producer mistook for incompetence turned out to be the most valuable thing Dustin Hoffman ever brought into a room.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me.
Anne Bancroft as Mrs. Robinson, the woman who made an entire generation nervous about their friends' mothers, was 35 years old when she walked onto that set, and she was not happy about it. Anne Bancroft had already won an Academy Award for The Miracle Worker in 1963. She had paid her dues on Broadway, earned the respect of serious theater critics, and built a reputation as one of the most formidable dramatic actresses of her era. Mrs. Robinson felt, to her, like a step sideways at best. She took the role anyway, and then spent years watching it swallow everything else she had done. Sadly, that quiet fury never fully left her. The role followed her with a persistence no amount of subsequent work could shake, and there was a real injustice in a woman of her range being reduced in the public imagination to a single raised eyebrow and a silk stocking. What makes the whole thing stranger is that Bancroft was only 8 years older than Katharine Ross, the actress playing her daughter. 8 years. The age gap between a mother and child in one of cinema's most famous relationships was smaller than the gap between many college roommates. She found her real anchor elsewhere, in a marriage to comedian and filmmaker Mel Brooks that lasted 31 years, from 1964 until her death. Sadly, Anne Bancroft passed away on June 6, 2005, from uterine cancer. She was 73. Mrs. Robinson may have been defined by desire and desperation, but Anne Bancroft was defined by discipline, range, and a refusal to become only what one role told her she was. Katharine Ross as Elaine Robinson. In 1984, Katharine Ross married actor Sam Elliott. They are still together. More than 40 years, built quietly, away from the machinery of an industry that spent the better part of a decade trying to tell her exactly who she was. She was 27 when she played Elaine Robinson in The Graduate. Warm and luminous, the kind of screen presence that makes everything around her look slightly more alive. Before the film, she had been building steadily through television, appearing in episodes of The Virginian, Gunsmoke, and Run for Your Life through the mid-1960s. A working actress, learning her craft, one guest role at a time. Nichols saw something in her that the industry had not yet named. After the film, Hollywood named it immediately, and then tried to own it. The girl next door, the love interest, the one worth fighting for. Where Anne Bancroft met that reduction with fury, Ross met it with something quieter. She stepped back gradually, without announcement, choosing life over celebrity. The year after The Graduate, she appeared alongside Paul Newman and Robert Redford in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And then she began, slowly and deliberately, to build something the industry could not label. In 2026, Katharine Ross is 86 years old. Elaine Robinson ran toward the man she loved and never looked back. Katharine Ross did exactly the same thing. Elaine, I love you. Oh God. There are 8 more cast members to discover. Subscribe and never miss a new episode. Murray Hamilton as Mr. Robinson. The man in the suit, who never quite saw what was happening in his own house, was 42 years old when Murray Hamilton stepped into the role of Mr. Robinson. There is a specific kind of performance that requires an actor to be completely convincing while being completely wrong about everything. And Hamilton delivered it without a single wasted gesture. He had spent nearly 2 decades building a career as a character actor before The Graduate, a reliable presence that directors trusted when they needed authority, played without vanity. His most famous role came 8 years after this one. In 1975, he played Mayor Larry Vaughn in Jaws, the man who kept the beaches open while a shark systematically proved him wrong, and in doing so, created one of cinema's most enduring portraits of willful blindness. It was the same character he had played in The Graduate, dressed in a different suit, standing on a different shoreline. He never became a household name in the way the films around him did, but directors kept calling, and he kept showing up and delivering. Sadly, Murray Hamilton left us on September 1st, 1986. Cancer took him at 63. Mr. Robinson never understood what was slipping through his fingers. Murray Hamilton always knew exactly what he was doing.
Ben, what are you doing?
Well, I would say that I'm just drifting, here in the pool. Why?
Well, it's very comfortable just to drift here.
William Daniels as Mr. Braddock. At 98 years old, William Daniels is the oldest living member of the Graduate cast, and his story is one of the most quietly extraordinary in this entire film. He played Mr. Braddock, Ben's well-meaning but fundamentally disconnected father, with the specific discomfort of a man who loves his son and has absolutely no idea how to reach him. Daniels was 39 years old at the time, a veteran of Broadway whose stage career stretched back to the early 1950s. Before The Graduate, he had built genuine theatrical prestige, including a starring role in the original Broadway production of 1776 that earned him a Tony Award nomination. He refused it, not out of modesty. The production had categorized his role as supporting when Daniels believed it was a lead, and he would not accept a lesser designation for work he knew was principal. What is striking about this cast is how many of them built their most recognized work not before this film, and not because of it, but simply after it, on their own terms. Younger generations know Daniels as Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World, the quietly wise teacher whose relationship with his students across 7 seasons became one of television's most genuinely moving portraits of mentorship. He has been married to actress Bonnie Bartlett since 1951, 74 years. Mr. Braddock struggled to connect with his son across a dinner table. William Daniels has spent 74 years proving that real connection, when you find it, does not drift away. Elizabeth Wilson as Mrs. Braddock. She could make anxiety feel warm. That was Elizabeth Wilson's particular gift, and she brought every bit of it to Mrs. Braddock, the worried mother hovering at the edges of her son's life. Wilson was 45 years old when she appeared in The Graduate, 16 years older than Dustin Hoffman, who played her son. The film asked audiences to believe in that relationship completely, and Wilson made the gap invisible through the quality of her performance alone. Her stage career was more distinguished than most people realized. She had appeared in the original Broadway production of Picnic in the early 1950s, and in 1972 she won a Tony Award for her performance in Sticks and Bones. She also appeared in 4 Mike Nichols films across her career, a collaboration that spoke to the mutual respect between a director and an actress who understood exactly what he needed. After The Graduate, she kept working, steadily and without fanfare, across film and television for another 5 decades. She was never famous in the way the leads around her were famous. She was rarely out of work. Sadly, Elizabeth Wilson was gone by 94. She passed away in May 2015, her health declining in her final weeks. A specific cause was not publicly disclosed. Mrs. Braddock hovered at the edges, uncertain and unheard. Elizabeth Wilson spent 94 years making sure every room she entered knew exactly what it had. Buck Henry as hotel room clerk. Most people who love The Graduate have no idea that the man who wrote every word of it is also standing in it. Buck Henry co-wrote the screenplay, adapting Charles Webb's novel into one of the sharpest, most precisely observed scripts in American cinema, and then walked onto the set and played the hotel room clerk, who checks Ben Braddock in with barely concealed suspicion. 3 minutes of screen time. He plays it with the quiet pleasure of a man who knows exactly what joke he is telling. Henry had already co-created Get Smart with Mel Brooks by the time The Graduate was released, establishing himself as one of the wittiest satirical minds in American entertainment. After The Graduate, he became one of Saturday Night Live's most frequent guest hosts across the show's early years, appeared in films from The Player to Die For, and continued writing with a dry intelligence that never dulled. He occupied that rare position of being genuinely respected by everyone in the industry and entirely unknown to the general public. By all accounts, that suited him perfectly. Sadly, Buck Henry died on January 9th, 2020. He was 89. Most people who love The Graduate never knew his name. Every word they remember from it, he wrote. Norman Fell as Mr. McCleary. He was a tail gunner on a B-25 Mitchell bomber in World War II, credited with 2 confirmed kills in combat over Japanese fighters in the Pacific. After the war, Norman Fell came home, enrolled at the Actors Studio, and spent the next decade building a career one television role at a time. By the mid-1960s, he had appeared in 87th Precinct, played small parts alongside the Rat Pack in Ocean's 11, and accumulated enough screen experience to make every scene better without ever making it about himself. He was 43 years old when he played Mr. McCleary in The Graduate, the bluntly suspicious landlord who rents Ben Braddock a room and immediately regrets it. Fell brought to those few minutes the full authority of a man who has seen enough of the world not to be fooled by it. Like William Daniels before him, the work Fell did after The Graduate far outgrew anything he did in it. In 1977, he was cast as Stanley Roper in Three's Company, the gruff landlord who became one of American television's most recognized comic presences, a role he played for 4 seasons. Some members of this cast lived long enough to see exactly how far their work would travel. Others left before they had the chance. Sadly, Norman Fell was gone by 74. He died on December 14, 1998, from multiple myeloma, a cancer of the bone marrow. Mr. McCleary watched Ben Braddock with narrowed eyes and saw trouble coming. Norman Fell had seen enough of the world to know exactly what he was looking at. Marion Lorne as Miss DeWitt. She was 82 years old when she appeared in The Graduate, a small and fluttery presence in a film full of sharp edges, bringing a gentle human warmth to a story that badly needed it. Marion Lorne had spent the better part of 6 decades in theater and television by the time Mike Nichols cast her as Miss DeWitt, most recently as the beloved Aunt Clara on Bewitched, a role that had made her one of the most quietly adored character actresses on American television. Sadly, Marion Lorne never saw what The Graduate became. She died in May 1968, just months after the film's release, before the cultural wave had fully crested, before the awards, before the decades of analysis and reverence. She was 84 years old. The film she had just appeared in was about to become one of the most discussed and most beloved works in American cinema, and she was gone before she could know any of it. There is something quietly devastating in that. A woman who had spent 60 years giving pieces of herself to her craft slipped away just as one of those pieces was about to matter more than she ever knew. Miss DeWitt appeared briefly and disappeared quietly. Marion Lorne deserved to see what she had been part of. Alice Ghostley as Mrs. Singleman. Audiences never quite knew what they were going to get from Alice Ghostley, and that was precisely the point. She had a quality that defied easy description. Warm but slightly unhinged, gentle but unpredictable, and she deployed it across 4 decades of television with a precision that only comes from a serious stage background. She was 42 years old when she appeared in The Graduate as Mrs. Singleman, already a Tony Award winner for New Faces of 1952, a Broadway-trained actress who arrived on a film set and made her few minutes of screen time feel inevitable. When Bewitched needed to fill the void left by Marion Lorne's passing, the producers turned to Ghostley, casting her as Esmeralda, a different kind of magical character, but carrying the same gentle warmth the show had lost. It was an acknowledgement, unspoken but clear, that certain qualities cannot be replaced. only recognized somewhere else. She worked across Bewitched, Designing Women, and dozens of film and television appearances. One of those faces audiences trusted completely without ever needing to know her name. Sadly, Alice Ghostley left us on September 21st, 2007, having battled colon cancer and a series of strokes. She was 84. Mrs. Singleman came and went without fanfare. Alice Ghostley spent 4 decades making sure audiences always felt, without quite knowing why, that everything was going to be all right. Richard Dreyfuss as uncredited fraternity boy. 10 years after The Graduate was released, a young actor stood on a stage in Los Angeles and accepted the Academy Award for Best Actor for The Goodbye Girl, becoming at 29 the youngest actor to win that award at that time. What almost nobody in that auditorium knew was that Richard Dreyfuss had already appeared in The Graduate a decade earlier. He was 19 years old, uncredited, with 2 lines as a fraternity boy in a single scene. 2 lines. No name on the poster, no mention in the reviews, no reason for anyone to remember he had been there at all. But he had been there, standing on a set with Dustin Hoffman and Anne Bancroft, watching how it was done, absorbing everything he could from a film, quietly rewriting the rules of American cinema around him. What he did with that education is its own kind of answer. American Graffiti, Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. 3 films, released within 4 years, that together defined an era. In 2026, Richard Dreyfuss is 78 years old. The Graduate told the story of a young man with no clear idea what he was meant to do with his life. The young man with 2 lines in the background apparently paid very close attention. If you made it to the end, you clearly love cinema. Hit subscribe. I cover stories like this every week.